Okay, great. Okay, so welcome everybody. My name is Dave Alpert, and I'm the chair of this subcommittee of design tech. So in this subcommittee, we have a meetup every month on the third Wednesday at 5 to 6 p.m. And this week, we have the pleasure of having Rotimi Seriki from HOK, and then Mike Hoppy and Mac Dean from Geopogo. The title is Using Multiplayer for Remote Design Collaboration, but we made that title before Rotimi was so kind as to jump in. So now it will be a little bit broader and we'll all learn a little bit more. Multiplayer is just one type of remote design collaboration. So we'll learn about that as we go. We thank our sustaining sponsors who help the AIA San Francisco to thrive. We're a continuing education provider. You can get learning units for this class, one. I'm sure you read the course description. It's all about real-time collaboration. We have some learning objectives. We'll have an opportunity for everybody to actually get in to a model if you would like. We'll invite you to a model and you can experience what it's like to collaborate in a model. So let's start with Rotimi. Not only is Rotimi the visualization manager for HOK, but he was selected for the 40 under 40 in the Autodesk construction group. So congratulations, Rotimi.
Thank you.
Okay, so he's going to talk about remote design collaboration at HOK now and in the future.
Okay, thank you very much, Dave, for the introduction. And again, my name is Rotimi Seriki. I've been with HOK for about 7 years, and I manage the visualization department. Based on what Dave has mentioned about what we're going to be talking about today, I figured I should touch on a few things that we're doing at HOK. Today we're all forced into working from home or having to work remote, and we quickly came up with a few things that helped us collaborate well when it came to working on designs. So one of them you see on your screen right now is called Concept Board, and that was something we adopted right away after we were all sheltered in place and working from home. And what Concept Board is, it's basically a virtual whiteboard that you can collaborate in. And what it lets you do is post things and get comments and have things linked to an image or to a video that you can post in there and say, okay, this is linked to your email account. If I post a comment on here on something you posted on Concept Board, it's going to generate an automatic email that you're going to get right away saying, hey, this person commented on an image you placed in there. As you can see on here, we iterate, and design is all about iteration, and iteration has to be fast, especially when you're working on competition. All of this the images you see on here was for a competition that we did. It took us a month, around February, and we had about 25 people working on the competition, and it was frequent, and we were all working in Concept Board. It's a really good tool for you to try out. It's not that expensive. At one point we had a different tool that was really expensive. This was prior to COVID, but we quickly switched to Concept Board, and it's been really, really effective. Implore everyone to try it out and see how it's going to help you and your team. Next slide.
So Rotimi, if I might,
Sure.
this is a software product that
Correct.
you are using. So does anybody else on the call have experience with this or something like it? Okay. Looks like there's something for everybody to learn from that. It looks very, very cool. Thank you.
All right. So just move on to the next slide. Oh, someone said we use miso and Jamboards. I don't know if those, okay. Something else to try out. Next slide, Dave.
Okay. Whoops. There you go.
Okay, cool. The other thing we got into was, we started using a lot of game engines to explore using game engines to create interactive presentations for us. A lot of our designers who are not so facile with, using technology, they use a lot of PowerPoint, but we wanted to go beyond that and say, okay, how can we do a lot of master planning, how can we make that more interesting? So I decided to use the Unreal Engine and come up with a concept of saying, okay, we have all of this, models. Why don't we just have interactive layers on top of it where we kind of show things, if you want to show path of travel or things like that, show the transportation route, you can do it interactively where you're still able to spin the model around. Now, if you go to the next slide, Dave.
Okay.
So with it, we presented this project to the city of Sunnyvale recently, and they fell in love with it because we kind of used something very interactive like this, where we're showing bubble diagrams, and all of this was working in the web. We were able to push it to the web using a technology called pixel streaming, and our clients were able to actually go into the model and navigate and do the same things we were doing during the call. And this was a big deal for us because the client was so happy because they had never experienced a presentation like this, and our designers were happy with it as well because it help them not just be able to present to the client in a different way, but also to do it in a very interactive way that goes beyond using something like PowerPoint.
So Rotimi, can you talk more about that interaction? Is that just interaction on the part of the presenter?
So yes, the interaction is more on the part of the presenter, but where it shines is the fact that, okay, this works in the web um, format where you can send a link to someone and say everything we were showing you in the presentation, you can kind of see it as well and be able to interact with it the way we were interacting with it, versus you having to have your own component with like a huge graphics card to run the application.
Mm-hmm.
They can run it on their end without having the beefy computer that you have to run the application, which was a big deal for us because some of the models we were pushing through this application were huge, which I'm going to show later on, after I talk about this. I believe it's the next slide. So this next project was one of our projects in San Francisco. The whole idea for this is we've done at HOK, we've done a lot of projects in San Francisco, and we're always going after pursuits and trying to look for more ways to get our clients to engage with us more. So we decided to build an interactive um, digital twin of San Francisco where we can kind of show our clients the projects we've done in San Francisco and the opportunities that we can give them if they work with us. So basically this model is an interactive model that you can go in. Again, it's pushed to the web where you can send the clients a link and they start to see what opportunities it can provide for them in terms of like their project. This project you're looking at on your screen right now is located on 4th and Harrison in San Francisco. It's one of our projects. It's not in construction yet, but it's going to be soon. And basically, we engage the stakeholders with this model, and we kind of show them what's around, and they can kind of set viewpoints and be able to see, oh, okay, your project you did a few years ago is about 10, 15 blocks from here. So you guys have done a lot of projects in San Francisco. You know what you're doing. So things like that, it's very good to have something like this, to be able to show this during a meeting with a client, or even for a pursuit, whatever is going to, you know, make your presentation more engaging, especially with your client. It helps all the way. And if you move to the next slide, um, Dave. So we added more layers to this in terms of like saying, okay, what are the things that you can find around your site, what's close to your site in terms of like the parks and things like that. And you can click on all the widgets and it gives you the information. So using this type of platform, you can help engage and collaborate with your clients more, because some of our clients don't understand drawings. But everyone understands 3D, especially technology that's
Mm,
3D. Most people understand it and they can
mhm.
see it. So it gives you the room to engage them more. And again, with a model, you can see the things we did was like, okay, more interactivity where the client can say, oh, okay, I want to see what the building is like. What's the skeleton of the building like? You can kind of strip it down and things like that. So yeah, I think having tools like this, I'm sure there are more tools out there that can do something similar. And I know, Dave, you're going to talk about Mike and Mac are going to talk about multiplayer, that they're doing. You guys are doing at Geopogo, and it's not about having all the tools in one place. It's about knowing the tool to use when.
Mm,
So for us, yes, is it possible to kind of like engage in multiplayer? Yes, but if Mac and Mike, your company Geopogo, are gonna do it better because you're doing that day in day out, and you can solve more problems with that. So with that, I will let you guys speak because I can keep going on and on.
sorry, I did that by mistake. I was trying to get rid of the chat. But we did have a question from JJ. JJ was asking about the whiteboard product.
Oh, concept board. Yes. What about it?
Oh, just he didn't hear what it was because he
I
came in afterwards. Yeah.
Oh, it's called concept board.
Okay. And that last tool that you showed is something that you developed in-house at HOK.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And it looked like you could jump to each project if you wanted to. You could click on them. Yeah.
Absolutely. And maybe if we have more time at the end of the presentation, I can kind of show people what it looks like running.
Sure. That sounds great. So the interactive tools on the one hand are tools that you can buy, like the concept board. And
Yes,
on the other hand, there is an opportunity to invent interactive tools in order to work effectively with people remotely. So that's
that's
very
right.
cool. Yeah.
That's right.
More power to you. Thank you, Rotimi.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we have my copy. As I mentioned, he's the creative director at Geopogo, and Mac Dean, who's the technical co-founder at Geopogo. And together, Mike and Mac have been inventing some things, and now they'd like to share them with you.
Super. Thank you, Dave. If possible, I'll share my screen. Is that
Oh,
possible?
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Okay.
Super.
Okay, I stopped the share.
Thank you.
You're in charge.
Super. Okay, so everybody should see that now. And then just to build on Rotimi's presentation, the work you guys are doing at HOK and modeling the entire city of San Francisco is just phenomenal. And like you said, it's not so much the technology, but what is the solution for the client, and when is that solution appropriate for the client? I think some of the future visions between, what we're all creating really kind of comes to this fully interactive world where, we have full 3D models of cities. We can put our building proposal models in those cities, and people can join together remotely, or we can all navigate and move around on our own. And, this is a big dream of architectural presentation, whether it's on the computer or on the screen. Mac has had to step out briefly, but he may be back during the presentation. And for anybody who's downloaded the platform and wants to join us, the join code is right here. And so you would just simply click go online on the platform on the top right-hand corner, and then you'd click the join button, and you would put this number in along with your name, and you should be able to connect to the network. So I'll just give 5 quick seconds for that, and then I'll move on to the next slide. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and you never know. Of course, Geopogo, we make architectural software. It's design presentation software. It's traditionally orientated towards augmented reality. So we have an app for iPhones and iPads, and then the Magic Leap AR headset, and soon the Microsoft HoloLens. And so what you can do on the platform is you can import your models from Revit, SketchUp, ArchiCAD, and you can import them into the platform, just like here. And typically what our users are doing is they're importing them, staging them, then they're exporting them to the AR app for on-site augmented presentations. And so when the pandemic hit, this really big question came: what happens when we can't meet on site? And could we develop a solution where people could work together remotely from great distances? And could they collaborate together on the models at the same time? So a little bit of a step larger than screen sharing. Everybody has their own camera views, and everybody can move around the model on their own. And soon people will be able to, entire teams could start to design together in real time. So unlike Revit at the moment, where we're used to saving to central and people have to sync their files, the big question becomes, could we design in real time? Just like any multiplayer games or anything like this, could we employ this technology and let people just work together at the same time, seeing what each other is making, talking to each other, and could this exponentially increase productivity because of that? So these are all just hypotheses and experiments, but we'd love to get everybody's input, feedback, thoughts, and considerations. So the first video that I'm going to share with everyone is a little recorded capture, and I'll even give it just a little bit of sound. Try not to make it too distracting. But you can see here, this is Mac. We uploaded a really simple model. It's not architectural by any means, but Mac's on his computer at home, and I'm on my computer at home, and we're essentially doing a design review walkthrough together. And I'm kind of like showing off my design. I'm like, hey, Mac, take a look at what I'm doing. And so he's going through, he's agreeing to, pretending like it's good. And but it's starting to open up a lot of new opportunities and flavors where Mac can go and do what he wants, I can do what I want, and we can talk about very specific things together, and we can walk through the entire map. So we are all aware of programs like Enscape and Lumion. And so the question becomes, what happens when we make these programs interactive? What happens when we make it so multiple people from anywhere in the world can come on and begin to work together at the exact same time? So the programs go from being standalone to becoming multiplayer interactive. And the next step from here, next to design review and client presentations, is of course the design teams being able to design together at the exact same time. And then that question for project management is, can that increase productivity substantially where we design buildings much quicker than the current status quo? So yeah, little hypothesis and a really great experiment that we're happy to conduct. And, as this is going, I'll let this play because we got some time. Does anybody have any questions?
I guess, Mike, you sent out the join code. Can you walk people through how they can actually do that?
Yeah, I can do that as well. So, okay. And if anybody else has any questions, please, please ask. Okay. So we'll just kind of go over here to the live demo. So, Murphy's Law, we never like to press Murphy's Law too much because it never wants to work. But so here is, this is the Geopogo platform here. I'll just go back to a different version. So some people may have downloaded it. This is the version here. And so you can import models from Autodesk. This is a really simple Revit model. It's a client's building in Canada. And so we can stage it, dress it up, and then we, of course, export it to AR or go online. And when I hit go online, yeah.
Mike, I'm not seeing anything. I'm just seeing something that says live demo, share screen.
Oh, here, 1 second. Aha, that's why. Okay, there we go. Now everybody should see it.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, perfect. So Geopogo platform, continue. So this is an imported Revit model. I haven't really staged it or done anything nice with it. Just kind of got it in here. And so I could stage this, click view in AR and go and publish it to the AR app, or I can click go online. And so anybody who has this installed can click join now, and you can enter your name and then, of course, the room code. And so here is what that looks like once we're inside. And so Mac has already joined. He had to step out really quick, but anybody else can join. And so him and I can now go through the model, or in the actual use case, me and the client, who's all the way in Canada, go through the model. And I walk them through the design changes and the proposals. And they have their own cameras to be able to do a first-person camera to walk around themselves, and they can go up and we can talk about some of the design elements. We can go inside the building, and we can basically go on a design tour all around. And so we've had entire client teams in here where, not only the main building owners, but also their internal design teams have joined on. And so we've gone through the entire thing. And, this is a very basic Revit model. I haven't done any optimization. You can probably even recognize some Revit materials. But for the clients, like Rotimi said, they were ecstatic because they understand 3D. They can't read working drawings or 2D floor plans, but this they get, especially when it's in relation to their building. And so for the clients, they were ecstatic. And I got some video of almost 2 hours I recorded of the clients going through together, and they would just all go to one area and just talk about it for hours and move on and move on and move on. And so in that dynamic between the client designer relationship, the clients were just ecstatic beyond belief, and we were proud to provide them that service. So any questions from here?
Now, Mike, I know we're sort of all working from home, and I see this tool as a very good collaborative tool between teams. Is there any way you can make some notes on, things that might be revised, like say that brick facade you have, maybe you want to go with stone, or maybe you want to go with something else? Is there a way I can do some notes on that?
That's right. And we've been asked by many different teams. So it's in our pipeline. And so we've been trying to come up with an inventive way for the clients to be able to drop those notes very easily. And so, yes, it's in the pipeline. And I can imagine within the next, probably next month, I would say for the team, we would employ that. With some of the large tech clients, that's exactly what they want, is basically note dropping in space where entire teams could just type notes, and then all those notes get curated to a Word doc or something.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Do you want me to? I can, Oscar, what I can do, if you give me your email, when we employ that, I can send you a link to download and test it out.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thanks.
Super, thank you. All right. Any further-
Mike,
Yep.
Mike, if you want to have other people have the opportunity to get in here, it doesn't look like anybody else is in, although you gave people the join code.
Yeah.
So if you have to walk them through, what do they do with the join code? Do they go to another website?
Okay,
How do they
perfect.
get in there?
Yeah, so if anybody did get a chance to download the software, you can go to geopogo.com. You basically, I'll just walk everybody through it. I don't know if we're breaking the rules here or not. Sorry if I am. But you just basically click download for desktop, enter your name, click download. And so I'll just type in Geopogo. Download this one for PC. If you do have a Mac, you can download it, but certainly download for PC. It'll download a nice little exe there for you. And then when you get into the platform, let's just see it from how you guys will get started. So you'll basically start like this, create new, click go online, join, and then I'll just type my name, Mike2, in the room code. It's down here at the bottom, 225152. 225152. I'm just gonna double check. Yep. And then I just click join. And so that's gonna sit and process in the background, and it says connecting. We've gotten it to connect fairly quickly. It's over a peer-to-peer network, but we just connected it to Amazon Web Services, so AWS. And so right now, the average action time is usually about 30 seconds, depending on the size of the Revit model that you bring in. With AWS, we anticipate that'll go much, much quicker. And the whole point is that the models, kind of like how BIM 360 works, the models just kind of live in the cloud. And the end goal is that the models are accessible by anyone at all times, until they're deleted or taken down by the team. Oh, hey, there's Mark. Okay, so we got Mark on the line. There we go. Oh, so because you can talk to each other, if I don't mute it in Geopogo, Mark can't, it'll echo, and that won't be good. Okay, so here, let me see. Oh, and then I just joined on this side. Okay, I am going to turn off Geopogo on this side. Sorry for the back and forth, guys. Okay, that should be good. So yeah, there's Mark. So we'll just say, hey, Mark. I'm sure he can still hear us on this side. And so I muted myself on Geopogo just so we don't hear an echo over Zoom. Oh, there he is. Let's go. I'm just gonna run after him here. Where you at? Ah, he disappeared. Oh, there he is. And again, if I wasn't on Zoom, Mark and I would just be talking to each other in real time here. So
yeah,
it's going to indicate that he can see me. And Mark, if you can hear me here, come follow me inside the building. Ooh, there you go. Yeah. And so we'll pretend Mark's the client. He owns this building. We're saying, Mark, come with us. Let's go through and let's begin talking about your design. And of course, there'd be some nice post-processing done to the model, but we can take them through. And so here's your nice hallway here. And then there's a button called First Person on your left in white. If you hadn't pressed that. There we go. Yeah, and keyboard and mouse is always best. So let's go into the main hall. Let's just go over here. So here's the main hall here. And so this hall here is really for what the space uses it for. This is their event space. So they'll set up chairs and desks. And there's a kitchen, a commercial kitchen they put in the back. And so they host parties in here and everything else. It's some pretty great stuff.
So Mike, we're all seeing what you see on your own screen, but Mark is seeing from his viewpoint.
Yeah.
But he can also see your screen if
That's
he's
right.
in the Zoom call. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, there's a lot of when you're not on Zoom or Hangouts and you're just here on Geopogo, it always just ends up breaking out into a conversation where you're just like talking to each other, especially when it's the client. I found that, you know, when you're in here with your client, the client just wants to talk about everything. Or if you're a designer and you bring your architect in, then the architect just wants to talk about everything. And so it's really interesting. It's interesting behavior, and you know, like Oscar mentioned, the ability to drop notes and comment and soon be able to design together as design teams will be you know, huge game changer for how we, you know, work and collaborate together, especially in these times.
Okay, great. Congratulations to Mark for getting in while we're on the Zoom call.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And I'm very happy to stay on with you afterwards, and we can talk a little bit more. And I'd love to get.
It's very cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, guys. So that's my side, and I thank everybody for the time, and I hope this was others, Mac, very insightful.
Mac, welcome.
Oh, he might not be able to.
Oh, he has no audio, maybe.
Yeah, he has no audio. No, he said that unfortunately he had to jump off real quick. Oh, there he is. I think I saw Mac move. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay. Okay, so now we have an opportunity to have an open discussion. And I'm hoping that people will ask questions and share their own tools for improving the collaboration now that we have to work remotely. I mean, certainly people must be using other things. Okay. Well, then I'll ask the presenters some questions. Okay, so Rotimi, that amazing model that you made of downtown San Francisco with the interactive UX and all of the information about the city.
Mm-hmm.
How much of an effort was that to do?
That was initially my first go around was, you know, it took some effort because honestly, some of it was just me not initially knowing what I was doing, but it's something you can do in a matter of like a couple of days because there are lots of tools out there now. Say for instance, you know, you can grab OpenStreetMap data, you know, you extract that to, you know, use that as the outlines of the buildings, and you can use City Engine, you know, write some, you know, a few rules in City Engine to kind of like generate roads and things like that from splines, because there are lots of ways to get the information you need. It's not just, you know, Google, but for me, when I did that, it took about a few weeks. I would say it took about 4 weeks of my time because I did it all by myself, and also optimizing it as well for it to be able to run. A lot of the problems I ran into was not getting the model itself, it's the optimization, and also bugs as well, because there were lots of bugs.
I see. So then I'm wondering, because it's so great, how is it being scaled? Because you have offices all over the world.
Right. So again, since we created this model for San Francisco, we've since done another one for Seattle. We've done one for Singapore. But basically what we're trying to do is capture the world, so
Mhm.
to speak. And if we have a project, say, I don't know, anywhere in the world, we can basically load a model, drop our design in it, and be able to present to our clients. So it's an effort, and we keep working on it, and something we're hoping someone out there, a developer who's going to come up with something simple, and then we can just kind of like say, okay, we're not going to develop this in-house anymore and just use whatever they come up with. But for right now, yeah, we're doing it in-house.
Did you do, I mean, I know you're very talented, but did you do like a buy versus build on that? So,
Uh,
yeah, you used your time, but maybe somebody else on this call is not as expert as you are,
mhm.
but they want the same thing. How would they go about getting that? Is there some place, someone that you could go to and buy that product from?
There, I don't know that there is a place to get an entire city,
Hmm.
but there are definitely places where you can get chunks of a city,
Yeah.
in terms of models. But now when it comes to how interactive the model is going to be, that I don't know that there are tools out there,
Okay.
doing that right now. But I do know of a tool called Celsium that's been developed at the moment, and it's supposed to be a digital twin of the world where you can go anywhere in the world. But
Mhm.
I don't know how far that's been developed yet.
Well, I
Okay.
know, to jump in really quick, if anyone's familiar with Microsoft Flight Simulator,
Yes,
they
yes.
worked with two companies. The first one was based off BIM Maps, and then there was there was a startup that came in to basically populate the entire planet, the whole 3D model of the whole Earth.
Using AI.
Yeah, and they got it. The only problem is that Microsoft just like locked it up. So even if you download the game, you can't rip the data from the hard drive. They haven't like it's like it's 120 gigabytes that don't exist on your drive. And so the only other thing I found from that is it's called Google Maps for games. And that's the only other API source where Google gives out their entire world city map data, but you have to pay monthly for it. But again, it's another one. Everyone wants to seem to keep hold of the city map data. And then, of course, the old school way, which I forget now because we haven't done it in a long time, but there was, what was the name of the old geo data?
Esri?
There was ASRI and there was another one. Oh my goodness, it's escaping my mind. We used to do it open street maps. I think it's open street maps. And they used to give 1 kilometer data off of that. And you could pull the height maps, but it was really poor data. Like it was terrible. So anyways,
I
that's my
I mean, yeah,
yeah.
OpenStreetMap, you can get that data for free now. I mean, there are
Yeah.
ways to get it for free, but it's still not going to give you the model itself. You still have to go in there and do some work. That's why it's difficult. That's why it's not free.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be a developer that's going to make that, accessible to all of us at some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Okay.
Epic will do that for us.
Okay. I just want to point out that Rotimi and Mike might be showing things that you're interested in learning more about. And their contact information, I can put it in I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, I'm just trying to load the model right now. Maybe I can just kind of show it.
Yep. So, I mean, I think that that's a good point, that when you built this, that you used all the resources that were already available
Right.
to make it a doable project.
Yes.
And then I'm wondering, like JJ, I see you on the call, and I know JJ has responsibility on the USF campus. So on a different scale, you could build a model like this of a campus. And do you
Correct.
think you can use OpenStreetMaps for that because they have the form of all the buildings?
Yeah, that's definitely doable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that could be very useful.
it is very useful. I mean, even for our presentation to the city of Sunnyvale, just having the model, the site model, and being able to see the entire city, being able to jump from, Moffett Park to downtown Sunnyvale, and the client can see the relationship between, their site and downtown Sunnyvale was so useful for them.
Cool. Now, Mac, am I correct that you're still on? You're still muted? Okay, just trying to give him an opportunity to participate. So Mike, could you tell me a little bit about what inspired you to do the multiplayer, and what kind of like decisions you made, and what kind of opportunities do you see for the future?
I think the one inspiration was always like, how do we turn our designs from standalone, kind of just living on one computer, and how do we bring them onto multiple people's computers so we can go through all at the same time. I think the future is a deep dive into behaviors, and so like as you saw me and Mark, we could go through the model. We could both navigate, like walk through it, orbit around it, and then talk to each other. I'm really curious about the other behaviors that we haven't employed, like Oscar's suggestion of taking notes. And then, of course, the opportunity to, basically make models together, apply furniture, apply materials. What happens when that behavior gets enacted? And then, what do people start doing with those additional tools? So that's where I see the future is like, we got kind of step one right now. How do we take it to the next step and the step thereafter?
Right. So are you aware of other tools like this? How did you figure out how to do it?
That's a good question. I think, with a good enough Google search and 7 billion people on the planet,
Yep.
Yeah.
You always find something out there. I'm a believer that like original thought, it's not dead, but certainly quite, to truly make something original is, I don't want to suggest it's impossible, but it's kind of like everything becomes a race. I think we just all collectively are like, oh, multiplayer, and then all of a sudden, boom, you got 5-10 players racing to do it, and who can do it best.
Yeah.
That becomes the core. I'd like to believe we've found something special, but how long that lasts for, who knows? Because I know it's a race. I know that between all these other software providers and Unity and Unreal, I know it's a race to who does it, not only who starts it, but who finishes it, who does it the best.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Gabriele, I see you there. I'm going to call on you. I hope you're really there, Gabriele. Okay, well, I'm going to speak for Gabriele for a second. So I was going to announce it at the end, but the program for next time has to do with real-time collaboration in VR. So Gabriele will be doing that along with a friend of his, Daniele. And you'll see, it's always the third Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. But I just wanted to bring that up because virtual reality offers opportunities for remote collaboration also.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what kind of collaborative things, Rotimi, have you been asked to do by your colleagues in your office that you think are, well, that would be cool, but we can't do that now?
That's a good question. I don't know because here's usually what happens. A lot of the tools and things that I develop, it's not that they ask the question, it's me sitting in a meeting looking at the presentation process and saying, we could do better. So it's not necessarily them asking me,
Right.
this is what we want, is it possible? Yes, there's been a few, situations where I was just talking to one of our principals yesterday, and they are, funny enough, trying to explore multiplayer on a project where they can, but the question they were asking is, being able to have, entire city and still be able to have comments and, it being connected to some kind of like virtual whiteboard where they can write and still be able to have all of it in one package. And I was like, yeah, I don't know that something like that. I certainly can't do that, but I don't know if there's a tool like that. So yeah, there was a question like that. So it's not something I know it's possible, but it's, for right now, it's beyond my skill set.
I see.
I'm saying.
Okay. Something for the future.
Yep.
Mike,
Yeah.
you're still sharing your screen, right? But it's not very interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, I can share my screen if you want.
Okay. Yeah, please.
Let me figure out how not to share my screen. I don't know how to stop sharing it. Oh my goodness, it won't let me stop. Oh, there we go. He's still up.
Yeah, yes, there you go. Okay.
Oh yes.
So yeah, this was the model I was talking about, and you can see it's almost all of the city, but I took some liberties.
Wow.
So can I ask you a question about that? So one of the challenges with a model like this is that the city isn't a static
Right.
environment, and the buildings are always changing.
Right.
Certainly, that was the problem with physical models that people did of the city, like SOM used to have a physical model.
Right.
And does this update automatically?
So with that, it's not automatic, but it's certainly easy for me to say, okay, if there's a development in this area, I can just, come back into the model, swap it out, and, push it back to the cloud, because this is running in the cloud, right? And I can just push the application back into the cloud.
Gotcha. So you have to keep track of everything that's going on.
Yeah, but for now. So I get what you're trying to say, and that's my biggest goal, because digital twin for me is a big goal for me. That it's always been a frustration, us working on a project and you're trying to find, oh, how can I have get a model of the site, and so we can visualize it. I think having digital twins of cities is going to solve a lot of problems for designers, architects, and developers. So yeah, that's something I'm really passionate about, and I'm hoping I can collaborate with some people to kind of develop things like that in the future. But yeah, it's something I'm working on, to have automatic updates. Yeah, it's something I'm working on.
So Rotimi and Mike, I have a question for both of you. since just looking at this image that's on a city scale, that your tools, the multiplayer and this city view tool, seem to me to have a lot of application to civic projects. So projects that might concern the community at large.
Yeah.
To even build on this, back in my hometown, the whole dream is to create this into like a sim city for the public, where they can go and create on top of a map like this for the most pressing civic issues and present their visions. So Rotimi's done phenomenal work here, and I'd love the opportunity to build on top of this.
No, it's hey, listen, I'm working on having this released, but right now they won't let me at HOK. So until then, I'm happy to give this model out for free, but I can't do that right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome that both of you guys are inventing things. So you both showed us something that nobody has been able to do before. I love it. Did you have something else you want to show, or can I take back?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Okay, just by sharing my screen.
Rotimi,
Yes.
Is it possible to see the build on Furios? Like, are you allowed to send that link?
I can send it to you. Yeah, I can send it to you. Just.
Okay. Please, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I can. I'll send you a link to it.
Superb. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm just getting back into our little show here. Oh, so you didn't show this, Mike?
Oh, yeah. So just to finish, so for everybody who couldn't connect on Macintosh, my apologies. The beta, we did put beta for it. It's kind of funky because Apple will do updates, and then we have to basically catch up to Apple's updates until we find a way to automate that process. But for PC, we have found it works well for residential projects, commercial floor plates, and then of course entire buildings where it's inside and outside. And then for everyone that did download, I thank you. And as soon as we come up with a patch for the Macintosh version, I'll send everybody an update and they can try it again. So thank you very much.
Okay, so we just have a couple minutes. Could each of you give some final comments that might help people to move forward with their interest in remote collaboration tools?
Yeah, I can go first. One thing that I've learned, from all of this in terms of working remotely is that, initially I didn't think it was, going to be possible in terms of the tools that were available, or the fact that I didn't know that there were tools out there that can make it possible. So I haven't learned, over the past 11 months and working with, all the tools out there. It's definitely, the future is brighter in terms of being able to collaborate more, because it's not just going to be in person. Yes, in-person collaboration is absolutely fantastic, but also being able to collaborate on a platform like, Geopogo, or being able to collaborate on, Concept Board or Miro, which is another tool someone mentioned, Kimberly mentioned in chat. Miro is just like Concept Board as well. Being able to do that, and the idea of people, developers out there working on concepts like, digital twins and making all of this accessible to us. Just the future is just brighter for being able to design, especially on a large scale. If you're working on a small scale, yes, there are tools available, but working on a large scale project can be daunting. But having collaborative tools and digital tools that makes it easier for you, it makes design more iterative, and the experience is better.
Awesome. Good. And we're in privileged position here in the Bay Area with things being developed.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that is true.
How about you, Mike?
Yeah, we're very much in the kind of scientific exploration phase. So, we very much welcome everybody's comments, thoughts, ideas on, what kind of solutions and tools that we can create that really help solve, the pains that you guys are currently facing. And I think that's the most important thing. We want to create these great, visions of products and services, but of course, if it can solve a pain point, that's of course the main course. So I very much welcome anybody's comments towards these. I think as creators, it's always our ambition to say, hey, I have a vision for how we can work better. And I do believe as the technology gets better, we could see real-time design collaboration really become a solid method for how our teams work together and how we ultimately present to our clients. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I think I've shared the contact information. I want everybody to see who's going to be presenting the next time. Gabriele Sorrento of Vection and Daniele Barone. And I want to welcome you to suggest future topics and co-presenters. And then I want to thank Rotimi and Mike once again. So big clap for them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and thanks to everybody for joining in. Please feel free to follow up with Rotimi and Mike.
Yes, thank you so much.
And I hope to see you next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.